Yeah,
It'll save on YouTube.
Oh yes, it will. Yeah.
All right, we are live. Welcome to Skull Island. It is Wednesday.
Welcome, me hearties.
You know, I was just thinking as we were playing the intro music, I really dig that part when the piano says blip 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 blip.
Plays that little choppy fucking yeah.
I dig on that little prelude there, interlude right there when the changeover happens. I kind of dig it, and then it goes back to it right at the end too. I kind of dig that. I don't know why, but it's real simple. But it's
cool.
The way that it did, because it goes up, 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 down, 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 up, down, down, up, 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 and then it goes down, 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 up, up, and then it goes back. Dun, dun, dun. It's kind of cool, bro. I like it. I was looking for a
Takes
new
you
intro.
on a journey.
Right? I was looking for a new intro music for Orion Rising, and I'm shopping everywhere, and I can't find anything that's worth crap. There is a couple I kind of gravitate towards the like piano and violin and the orchestra stuff. So there's a couple that I have that are kind of older school that are orchestras with a lot of stringed instruments. I may start using one of those again and get away from the rock and but I couldn't find anything. I sat on YouTube with their library. I went online and typed in free music and no ownership, a public domain. I went to every site that wasn't trying to sell me public domain. You got to love that, right?
Yeah.
It's free public domain for $10. You get 5 free songs. I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Wait a minute.
Just got to go to Canva, dude. Canva, if you pay for their premium membership, they have a lot of songs you can use.
It takes a lot
I actually
of work,
was watching something.
Really find stuff.
It was an overlanding video, right? And I watched it, and the guy's channel has the same fucking intro music. The same exact music. But you have
Facebook
all these songs on there you can use.
Some WWE star was using the same music that I'm using, and Facebook was like, you can't use this because it's a WWE star so-and-so. And I was like, okay, ask so-and-so when they started using that music, because I started using that music 5 years ago. So if his goes back before 5 years, then I'm using his music. If his doesn't, he's using mine. I actually said that to Facebook, and guess what? Facebook never again tagged me, which means they probably checked, and those people, even though he's using it on television, I was using it first. But it's public domain. It was freely given on YouTube for anybody who wanted to use that
because
song.
they play that public domain shit. They play that shit too much. They use it so much to cheat. Like, I get protecting your original shit, right? I get that.
Right.
However, if somebody else, that's how it always has worked in the blues community, and a lot in the country community too. I mean, I think they went to straight just like songwriters and performers now, or they're getting close to it. I mean, there's a couple exceptions in country, but it's not like the band goes in, writes songs. Those are the bands I like the most. From start to finish. I mean, other than the technical shit, and even sometimes the technical shit they're doing, but they're writing the song, they're putting it together, and they're releasing it and performing it on their own. And not even. I mean, I'm sure there's plenty of bands that we think about or we like, and we don't even realize that they're really synthetic. Like, okay, he's got the look and he's got a voice, so we're gonna put him there, and then he looks like the mystical guitar player, so we're gonna put him here, and then we're just gonna fucking sit, dog. Sit.
The most famous one of those was the Monkees. Do you remember the TV show The Monkees?
Yeah, the Monkees were that way. Yeah,
those guys were completely hired because they fit a role.
Yep,
absolutely. Yeah, and they didn't write any of their shit. They didn't even know how to play their instruments in the beginning. They had to learn how to play instruments. They just played the
Elvis
role.
didn't write most. No, he wrote a couple songs, and they didn't. Well, they weren't even that good. He did.
Yeah.
He was a performer.
At least he gave it
and
a
he
try.
could sing.
But I mean, yeah.
And he could play music,
right.
Most
so he
of those
performed.
songs you don't know, like Lionel Richie wrote like way more songs than anybody ever possibly knows.
Neil Diamond, dude, that guy wrote so much fucking music that.
Right, what's his name? I can't think of his name. I can't think of his name. I went and saw him in concert, and he was a songwriter. And somebody said, "Hey, you can sing. You should beat." And now he's a singer, but first he was a songwriter. No one knew who he was. I can't think of his name right now. White guy.
Bob Dylan.
No, he used to have long curly hair, and now he's cut it all off. It's short. Singer. I'll think of it in a minute. I can't think of his name.
Hey, Michael Bolton? No,
Michael Bolton. Yeah, Michael Bolton. Before he was anybody, he was a songwriter and wrote songs that people sang everywhere. Right? Lionel Richie's another one. People, he's already a singer in his own right, but he had made more money writing songs, and people have no idea. If you watch him when he's on Idol, he talks about different things because someone will sing one of his songs, and he'll ask them why they chose that version or the arrangement, and then somebody will say something and like, Katy Perry knows everything. She's like, well, that's because it's his song. He wrote that song. He co-wrote that song. You know what I mean? Katy Perry is like, when it comes to music, she's one of those people that, believe it or not, she's got theory. She knows like every song ever written by anybody.
She was raised by a Christian family, dude. She was a Christian.
Her father was a priest, or not a priest, but a minister.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
No joke. Yep. So she's literally a minister's daughter. That's funny right there, right? You know how many
Comes
people
out
told
getting
me
popular,
that
and I kissed a girl and I liked it. Isn't that funny? Irony. The irony.
That like triggered her career.
Badass song, though.
Right?
Right.
Yeah. Triggered her career.
Dude, I like that other one, Dark Horse. You heard that one?
What's that?
Dark Horse. Have you heard that one from her?
Yeah, I love that song.
Dude, fucking good song. Yeah.
That song is banging for
more that kind of choppy, like staccato kind of feel, like you were talking about with the piano.
Yeah.
Oh, I love talking about music. You got me talking about one of my favorite things to talk about.
Just move and groove.
I know. I was just talking about another thing about Jacqueline when she gets here. She wants to put together a thing involving music and bringing people on who, just like you were talking about. I said, oh, you need to talk to Aaron. He and I have been talking about this. Aaron's been wanting to put this together for a while. I said, Aaron and I get along because he still does the band thing, but I haven't done it in years. But I was in the band and we're all about music. I said, and we've been talking about doing just that and bringing people on the show that are bands and musicians and talking about music and theory. And because we've done that, I said, how many times have we done shows where we talked about songs and artists and what they were singing about? People didn't know, like when we were dropped the bomb about, hey, don't you guys pay attention to Hotel California? That's about being stuck. And we were pointing out all these other songs. And she was like, yeah, like that. I'm like, yeah, you need to talk to Aaron.
You guys listen to a lot of those cheesy songs from the 70s? Like,
yeah. A lot of
Three Dog Night. Listen to some Three Dog Night. They're deeper than fuck, and they were pop back then. Like they were
like pop. Yeah, they were like pop.
Dude,
back
what is
then.
pop? Is like lost all of its balls.
They're out here on the West Coast. We had KFRC, dude. It was AM 560 AM or 540 AM or something like that out here, and that was like the most popular radio station of the 60s and 70s in the state of California. Right? They made all kinds of money. Now people don't even know who they are. Right, and then after them, when all the hip hop started, it was KMEL out here, right? And then Live 105 for rock, right? Those were all the band. Then locally in the Bay Area, KVHS, which was Clayton Valley High School. It was in the city of Clayton, right next to the city of Concord, where I grew up, and it was run by the kids, right? And the scary thing was, it was all about heavy metal, and it was owned by the church.
Yeah, isn't it funny when you start? Yeah, in many of them, yes.
Oh, you did? Astro. Yes. Sorry, man, I'm sharing it. Everybody share out there. I know there's
Denise said Skinner.
Three watching right now.
Share.
Leonard Skinner, yeah.
Yeah, right.
They were talking shit about Neil Young way back in the day. They knew his bullshit.
Yeah, they knew he was bullshit. I remember when I remember this one. One of the things about Neil Young was, I remember when MTV, the first year that Metallica showed up on MTV for one of the award ceremonies, because and when they won the award, Lars Ulrich got up there and said, we'd like to thank our fans, and we want to thank MTV for absolutely nothing, because we still did this without you.
Right.
That was badass. Well, at the same time, the best heavy metal album was a Neil Diamond fucking song. And he actually said when he was Lars got up there on the mic, he was like, the heavy metal album of the year, Neil Young. He says, "What the bleep? Come on!"
Heavy metal.
Like,
I know they gave it to Jethro Tull over AC/DC one year too.
What? Right? I mean, come on.
Like, they do that. I don't care because awards don't matter. What matters is the vibration in all of it. Like,
well, you come to find out a lot of these awards, and I'm not saying all of them. But
I mean, Obama got 2-piece awards, dude.
And paid
so
for,
I mean,
guys.
that tells you how awards
They're
work.
bought and fucking
Right?
paid for.
Yeah.
The Drone Bomb King got 2 fucking Nobel Peace Prize awards. Like, it's all just like I don't watch any of that shit because I think we're too.
I don't either.
Like the Royals and all that
some
shit.
Award show was on Sunday night, and I didn't watch it. I was like, "Oh, there's another show I won't watch."
Really, all they're trying to do is promote their new movies, man.
Yeah,
that's all they're doing. That's really what they're
doing
themselves.
They
and you know, like I was looking into that, and like they talk about these guys. You know, so and so won the Best Actor award in this category, and this one, this, and this, and this, and this, and this. I'm like, how many fucking different award shows are there? There's like 20. And I'm like, seriously? Right. So they just spend most of their time promoting themselves and going around and schmoozing with other actors and actresses and going, look, I won the same award again in the Screen Actors Guild. And next week I'm going to Cannes and I'm going to win that. And
the Golden Globes. And it's just bullshit. It's all like, you know what, though? I will say, though. I mean, Hollywood is so fake.
In the house. Hello, Ariel. Hello to everybody out there. Those of you guys that are out there, share this out, and say hello to us in the chat. Make sure to smash that like button and smash that bell when we go live, right?
It's really in here that's not me.
I don't know what it is, but I like the vibe better on YouTube, man. And you know, I'm a Facebooker. That's what I usually did.
Right.
There's something about it, like just getting on here and talking shit. You can still do that.
Yeah, you can't. You don't get the algorithm up your ass every 5
seconds. I mean, as long as you're not jumping onto these like main topics, which we do, but
we do, but
we're not going hard in the paint on them. I mean, we're talking about that, and then we kind of pivot to like, here's the solution, or here's a better way to look at it, you know?
Right.
We know we're getting used to it.
I love your basketball term right then, going hard in the paint. My sister has really gotten into basketball and discovered the Golden State Warriors, which, you know, I've been a Warrior fan since I was a kid, right? And so for me, having them going 6 out of the last 8 years to the championship has been just like a godsend. And they're back and they're winning. And my sister, she's like watching the games and she's like, what does this mean? What does a triple double mean? What is a double double? And what is this going into the paint thing? And, and explain to her all the different rules. And when they come up, she's texting me, what does that mean? He just said that the guy was too long in the paint. What was that? What is a 24-second clock violation? What the hell? I was like, I'm like, yeah. I tried to explain all that to her. So I love when you were just saying that. We're not going hard in the paint on that. And I was like, ooh, good basketball.
Well, hard in the paint just means we go hard. We go in there and we, you know, we're going to have some guests.
And yes,
I'm manifesting that. So some guests that do get hard in the paint.
Going hard in the paint.
But we also talk about we keep it like
them and
there's hard times and there's good times and and we've experienced them all even during this show and throughout our life. So we accept it all and we talk about it. And we express ourselves and we allow others to come in and express themselves. And you know, that's fucking life in a nutshell for me.
Yeah, exactly. It's just it's the way that it should be. Sorry.
Right. Well, you do your best to just inform people of that you know, allow them to bring in their own perspectives and their own feelings or whatever it might be to the situation, right? Being open and being non-judgmental. You know what I mean? But being authentic. If it makes you feel some sort of way, being willing to say, hey, that made me feel some sort of way without feeling like it's not okay to feel some sort of way.
Well, you know, it's sad, speaking of that whole ideology, it's sad that the very people in this country who for the last 30 years were the champions of freedom of speech, freedom of thought, freedom of choice, freedom of religion, equality, which they now call equity, which is a slave term, by the way.
Yeah, that is.
It doesn't mean equity. Doesn't mean
no, it's like they're talking about you like you're a fucking workhorse or a racehorse.
You're just
Yeah. So these same people who were, you know, with the ACLU, let's call a few out. You know, these people, BLM only cares about black lives if a white cop shoots a black kid. But if there's black on black violence, they're crickets. What the fuck?
Right.
Where's the ACLU?
And that's really where most of the gun violence comes from. And now you hear that they they're going to call gang shootings, gang violence. Now those are mass shootings.
Now the mass shootings, yeah.
Isn't that because if you put that on the agenda,
it was
if you
supposed to
add
be
that,
more
you can
than
make
4
numbers better.
people. It was supposed to be more than 4 people shot by one shooter, and you had to have 4 deaths. Now they're just like, if there's 4 people injured at all, they're calling it a mass shooting, and they're going to continue that all the way up until the election in November, and then it'll get quiet again.
No, we'll get some kind of like fucking disease or some kind of variant, dude.
You got to keep.
You watch January comes around.
Oh, dude,
trying
to gin up monkeypox.
Just there's so many psyops going on right now that I can't even keep up. Like there's so many going on. We got the alien invasion. We got UFOs. We've got fucking monkeypox. We've got fucking always waiting in the wings. Of course, we have the C-19 and the vaccine for it. I mean, they just approved, I think, or they were going to.
Yeah.
For
children, dude. I mean, really.
Oh, they're still pushing that.
Emergency approved.
How do they even have it? Why is that even a discussion?
In the long run,
that would just be a no.
Because they have to inoculate everyone.
Right.
It's like the invasion of the body snatchers. It only works when the majority of the people are body snatched. Right?
No shit.
Yeah, it doesn't work if only half the people get it because the other half still have guns. So they have to have 3/4 to 75% or more of the population under control so that they can go.
They're not doing that here. That's not going to happen here. That's why they haven't done it. Yeah. They don't. They'll tell you. Yeah, we have nuclear weapons, and Joe Biden's even threatened jets, and so has Obama's threatened fucking what are the drones, right?
Yeah, they can't or they would. Just like
and they have drones. No, okay.
They would.
Obama did drone people. Obama did drone some people here in America. Here in America. Yeah. Like if people didn't know that actually happened.
Yeah, those of you who think that's a lie, look it up. It really happened.
But the thing is because they can't go one-on-one, and that's what they want to do is go door to door eventually. And they did that even during the whole pandemic thing. That was like a test. That was like a test to see where people would fall in line. Mm-hmm. Now they're just going to. They've had to change their plan for us because we're waking up, right? We're not woke. We're awakening. That means we're all, as in it's always happening.
I tell people, if you think you're woke, you're not, because if you were awake, you would truly be awake, not woke. That's why Tom McDonald wrote the song "Fake Woke," because he was like, "That's bullshit." If you're like, "Oh, I'm so woke, man," oh no, you're not. First of all, no, and if you're judgmental in any way, I know that it sounds judgmental when I say this, but I'm only saying this because other people are, right? So it's like it's one of the problems that we just had with the old ways, right? And there's a reason why that was cleaned out. There was a bunch of people that I booted out of that group, right? And then some of them asked me, why did I do that? Because your energy was not conducive with the rest of the group, because unfortunately you have ego and you're judgmental, which forced me to take a look at that. And I had to then look at things from an egoic standpoint, unfortunately, and say, these people need to go. I had to make a hard decision. Okay.
Yeah, and isn't that's a hard fucking judgment?
I'm so awake.
Hard,
I'm the most awake person
making
on the face
judgment
of the
calls
earth.
Every day.
And then they go online and and they think their job online is to point out like all the faults in everybody else. That person's not awake because they do blah blah blah. Well, you're being jujudgmental. That's ego.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. It's for you to think that anyone has to do any certain thing to get to any kind of level.
God, that one right there. That's called religion, people.
Right.
That's called when it's turned into a religion for control.
Religion, and it's a
religulary. Look that up. Religulary. That's a Latin word. It means control.
We all think things about
it means mind control.
Same as equity. It means you're a slave and they're in control of you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, agreed. You guys need to look that up. That's not a joke. Okay.
Right.
And that's the truth of it. You know, I've always considered myself an anarchist, and you know, I just did a questionnaire and they only gave me 3 choices: Democrat, Republican, or Independent. And I was like, I'm none of those. And when are you guys going to get it through your skull that some of us are libertarians? And I'm becoming more of a libertarian than anything else because I believe in free liberties. And I believe that somebody shouldn't be telling anybody to do anything.
Yeah, like those aren't just like, nobody gets to tell you how you can live your life as long as you're not hurting anybody else in the process. And that doesn't mean hurting their feelings. That means hurting them. Like
that's why I love Tom McDonald in Fake Woke when he said hating something that someone says to you is different. You know, hate speech is not disagreeing with what somebody says to you.
That's right. Exactly.
That's not hate speech. Yeah.
Nope.
Right.
Yeah. And even if somebody, I mean, can we just go back to what did we all learn when we were kids? Sticks and stones will break your bones, but names can never hurt you. And they won't unless you let them.
That's right.
And I'm telling you right now, if I get a troll and somebody's calling me shit, it affects me.
Yep.
It gets to me.
Hurts my feel good.
And I will zap them, dude. I just usually kind of either go back at them because I was raised in a family of shit talkers. So like teasers, where we always got teased because, that doesn't happen anymore. Like it probably still does on the construction site, but when you were the first guy out there or girl, whatever you were, it didn't matter what you were. If you were out there on the construction site and you were the last guy hired, you're the bitch.
Yep.
And you're just gonna have to learn how to be the bitch for a while. And they're gonna pick on you, and they're gonna pick on you, and they're gonna pick on
another newbie.
You just have to decide which people am I allowing to pick on me and which people would I not. Because that's what it comes down to.
Are these people getting personal and like really
and that builds character because eventually somebody else gets hired and guess what? You're not the bitch anymore.
Right.
And you've earned that, and that's something to that. I mean, like harden the paint. That's harden the paint right there. That's right. You're around guys that work in the sun every day and fucking work their ass off.
Yeah,
and women. I've seen plenty of women doing it too. And they don't have time.
I had a bunch of people over, and they were friends that I've known for 30 years, and we're all sitting around drinking. And there was this guy who was a kid when we were teenagers, but he wasn't part of the crew, right? And now he's in his 20s, and we were all in our 30s, or I might have almost been 40 at the time, but probably in my 30s still. And we're all sitting around, and everybody's talking smack about everybody else, right? My brother comes home. And he comes in, he's like, I got some catching up to do. And he starts pounding the whiskey and he's drinking some beers. And everybody's kind of cutting up on my brother because he's late and da-da-da. And this young guy starts cutting up on my brother. And my brother turns to him and he says, "Who the fuck are you?" And he's like, "Dude, you know me. I was that kid in the neighborhood that we grew up." And he goes, "That's not what I'm asking you." He says, "What gives you the fucking right or lets you think you have the fucking right to bust my balls?" And he was like, "What?" And he's like, "These guys right here, they've earned that fucking right because they've been around in my life."
But he's just fucking with him too. He's just still fucking with him.
But he's fucking
totally just fucking with him. It's like that fucking movie. What's that movie? Goodfellas.
It was like Goodfellas.
How the fuck am I funny?
What do I amuse you?
Yeah, what am I?
Right?
Totally. That's the same thing, though. I mean,
my brother did that to this guy, and he's like, "What makes you think you have the right to fucking bust my balls? I ought to kick your ass right here in front of everybody." And the guy was like, "Hey, bro, I was kidding, and it was just like that movie. But this came out this happened way before that movie came out. That's why I love that scene in that movie. I called my brother and said, "Dude, they played you. And Joe Pesci played you and fucked with him." And so my brother's just on him, like all mad too, getting up. And he's like, "Why don't you stand up, boy?" Like that, right? And the guy was like, "Dude, I don't want to fight you." And he's all, "Too bad. Should have thought about that before you started talking shit about me." And he had this kid freaking out, right? And you saw the 20-year-old guy who was just being all macho. All of a sudden, my 6'5" brother just had that guy sitting like he was a mouse in the corner. And he was like, "Dude, are you going to beat me up?" And he's like, "Hell no, I'm fucking with you, rookie." He looks at me, he's like, where'd you guys get this newbie? What'd you do? Catch him at the bus stop and just bring him in? Oh my God. He was my brother's best friend the whole night. From that point on, followed my brother around like a puppy dog. My brother could have told him to jump, and he would jump up there and wait to be told to come down. He loved my brother after that. My brother he didn't want my brother's my brother, so he wasn't a dick to him. But he was like, does anybody have a can of leg off? I need a can of leg off because this guy's humping my leg now. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. But he had that kid just freaking out.
Well, I look back on it,
everybody was joking with you. I thought it was cool.
Right.
It was hilarious. And all of it,
I look back on it when I was a rookie. I mean, those were some of the best times, dude. When you're totally green. And I'm feeling that way now in the shit I'm doing. I mean, I know that I'm falling back on the things I learned when I lived in the sticks when I was a kid. There are a lot of things I was taught, but like today, I'm learning how to fucking make ice without a freezer, dude. Chemically, you can make ice without a freezer because I know I need ice, dude. Where I'm going, I need fucking ice.
Yeah. I want more than just
we're gonna build a cellar. I'm still looking for land. If you guys hear about anything in Arizona, let me know. Anybody hears about anything because I'm looking around. But yeah, you can make ice if you mix nitrogen, hydrogen. So you get a metal bowl, right? First, you get a big bucket. You mix it half water, half nitrogen, or fertilizer, right? That's water soluble. So probably grass fertilizer
has nitrogen in it. Nitrogen rich.
As I'm learning how to make them, I'm like, dude, am I making a bomb right now? Anyway, you kind of are.
You could.
So,
yeah, you could.
So you're mixing this up, and then you put a bucket with half filled with water, a metal bowl. You put it in there, cover it with saran wrap. Now that's going to make that react.
Yeah.
On the outside, water's going to make it react, and it's going to freeze and make ice. So right now, I don't have an ice maker. I don't have solar power to where I can run a freezer, but I know I need a freezer where I'm going.
Right.
Right.
So this is our little segue to the show, or a little segment of, Survivor segment, Prepper segment.
Prepper segment.
How to make ice. So look it up. You can make ice by using either acetone, or you can make it with baking soda and vinegar too. You can get that same reaction.
The pH level up. That's actually very similar to when I make Ormus. I use baking soda, although I take out it's sodium carbonate. I take the bicarbonate out. That's the part that's more volatile.
Similar to making hot ice cream is what they call it. They call it hot ice. Yeah. That's how they started making it, was hot ice cream. So that was just making ice cream without any coolant.
Right.
So I'm learning these cool things, dude. I'm like, fuck, I'm going to be fucking badass in here in 10 years, dude. I'm going to know a lot of shit.
Right.
But right now I am that rookie. So a lot of people are going to talk shit about me. And that's okay, because, and rookies always come in all hot. They always come in like they know everything too. Every rookie, dude. You got to stop yourself from doing that, rookies. If you're a rookie at something, no, you don't know shit.
Yeah,
just remember that. Sit back and listen.
You don't know shit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. That's the truth of that. No joke. I've been there. We're all there. But yeah, making Ormus is the same way. You just cook the sodium bicarbonate and get the bi part out, and you just have sodium carbonate. So you're transmuting into sodium carbonate. Like, it's cheaper just to buy sodium bicarb, because you can buy 5 pounds for like $4 even today with a crazy market. Right. And so you just cook out the still stops bubbling, and it's actually kind of fun to do the chemistry, because it turns into this like,
dude, we're alchemists right now, dude. It's so cool. I gotta learn this shit just so I can live, not even live, but live like comfortably.
Right.
Well, so I'm thinking
that's why I put a lot of that in here, but I don't give you the formulas, because if I did, I'd have to carry insurance. Because what if I gave somebody the formula and they blew themselves up?
Right.
Or something?
Right.
Like, I won't tell you how to make a pill.
You're messing with shit, dude. You're messing with
nature
chemicals. You're going to get a reaction out of, and if it's unstable,
and understand, know what you're doing, because if you don't
try to go big or go home, dude. Experiment a little bit. Start with small. And there's plenty of recipes online.
When I tell people to make Ormus, I tell them be careful, because if you are transmuting the sodium bicarbonate, you need to put on a mask, because the carbonation gets in the air and it'll fuck you up and get you high. Right.
Okay, I'm leaving the mask off, bro. I'm leaving the mask off.
Right. Because it does. It'll get you. I did it one time, and I had the mask.
That's like refrigerant, right? Is that what that is?
And I'm stirring it, and I had the fan blowing it, sucking it up, and blowing it throughout the kitchen. And all of a sudden, I was like, "Whoo!" I'm like super lightheaded. What's going on? I was like, "Oh, dumbass, your mask isn't on." Right. So I had to take them, because there's ways to make an Ormus where you use lye and things like that. And I don't try to get people to do that, because then you really have to wear the gloves, right, and the mask and the goggles, and you have to wear the leather. I used to have a leather apron that went all the way down to my ankles, because that's what I did for a living. Was I was a pool guy, right? The place I worked at owned to an Olympic-sized pool, and then a smaller pool, and then an Olympic-sized spa. In fact, it was one of the biggest spas left in the United States. It was built in the 60s, and it was like 6 feet across, a 6 foot round, so 6 feet diameter all the way around, a round circle. It was huge spa. So I had to learn all that shit, and I had to do all the chemistry. Well, to do all the chemistry, I had to wear a respirator, goggles, gloves that went up to my elbows, and a leather, thick leather, double padded. I could almost take a bullet with this thing. And it was heavy as shit. Must have weighed like 60 pounds. I had to put that on, and it covered me from neck down to my ankle. And then I had to have ANSI rated boots, because if you're working with the chemicals, you have to have, and I also worked with electricity, so I had to also have ANSI rated boots for that. But if you're working with the chemicals and you get electrocuted, that spark can blow up the combustibles, because I had like what we call soda ash, which is very volatile. If you take soda ash, and it literally is ash of sodium bicarbonate, after it's cooked, if you put that and you drop
that's potash, right? Potash.
You draw,
potash?
Yeah, right. And then, remember the explosion that happened over there that blew up the half of the peninsula because they had ammonium nitrate? Well, that's what most sodium ash is, ammonium nitrate.
Right.
Okay? So if you take Coca-Cola in a beaker and you take one drop and drop it in a pile, 1 tablespoon of soda ash, it'll explode. Okay, so that's a volatile.
Dude, I love that. Look at you laughing about it. That's because us boys, when we grow up, we like messing with shit and seeing chemical reactions and
certain chemicals separated by certain distances when I bought it, because I could make ancient orange because I had sodium hypochlorite and I had muriatic acid.
Now these are natural substances, y'all. That's the whole thing.
From the earth, from the
but
ground,
when you're synthesizing them and concentrating them, you're fucking with them.
Yeah.
If you're using other things, then you're making other chemical reactions. And I love this shit, dude. I love science. I love chemistry. If I was actually somebody like didn't get lured away by music and playing, and the whole allure of being a rock star, I probably would have been a scientist because I would just love to sit in the lab and like do data, experiment and write down data and just find out why it works, how it works. And that's everything we do. All of the flow, what we talk about. There's science behind this, but we don't understand.
I'm not certified anymore, but I was certified chemist for 10 years. I had to go to school. I'd actually go to school every 5 years and get retested with all the new shit for every 5 years if there was any updates. I had to do that. So I went 3 times when I first got certification, 5 years later and 5 years later. So I was certified for 10 years in doing that. And I would sit around when I was talking to Rodney McCalvary, who is a chemist. When I was talking to him, he was writing down stuff I was saying. Dude, can you send me that recipe? He's like, you really are a chemist, aren't you? I'm like, I'm an alchemist, bro. And he's like, you actually went to school for this, didn't you? And I was like, yes, I did. I just don't brag about it.
Yeah, that's what I love it, dude. I'm loving that we get to learn all these things. Like I've taken a big fucking jump, but it wasn't really like it was the universe leading me here anyway. And it was like, it was really easy for me to jump into that spot because it was something I've already manifested from years ago. It was something that I had a vision of a long time ago, right? Somebody told me one time, my mentor told me, you're going to have a fucking gray beard. You're going to look like Jesus and you're going to live in the desert. And people are going to come see you.
Yeah.
And they're going to want to talk, and that's
what we aim to build in a sense.
Yeah. It's coming to fucking life. It's kind of weird. The gray, I'm liking it. I mean, I'm a little more used to it. It's kind of, it's kind of nice. Just give me a little dark hair. I mean, if I die with a streak of dark hair, I'll be happy. Because I'm planning on being here for a long time, y'all. So I got a lot to do, and I got a lot to experience, and a lot to prove wrong, and a lot to get proven wrong.
Right.
So
a lot to be enlightened to.
There's a drive in me that was there a long time ago. Since I was a kid, I didn't know what I was going to do at that time, but I just knew I was going to send or share messages of you can overcome a lot of, similar to what Neo was told by Morpheus, right?
Yeah.
Like there's certain ways you can cheat this if you believe in yourself. Right. And you don't believe this construct is real. You can actually
follow that flow.
And there's a lot of things in life. Also, the tricky part is what's real, what's not.
Tao Te Chi. He said that there in the Tao Te Chi. That was part of his quote. That the person who can realize that this reality is fake and create their own reality and sustain that's reality.
That's a Buddhist quote, I think. I think that's Buddhism.
Yeah, well, it is. It's the same.
Sorry,
the Buddha and Lao Tzu are both from China, and they both wrote their stuff at the exact same time, right?
Well, what happened is Confucianism and Buddhism came off of there was Taoism and Confucianism, and Buddhism came from both of those. It's kind of like a hybrid of both of them,
right?
From what I understand,
both those concepts came around the exact same time. In fact, they just like Jesus, where people say, well, we're not even really sure if he actually existed. The Buddha, the guy who was the prince who eventually became the Buddha, never wanted his ideology to be a religion. Neither did Lao Tzu, who wrote the Tao Te Chi.
Because then you stop growth. And if you truly follow the flow
of his stuff and put it together into the book. He didn't actually write the book. He wrote all of the sayings, and they put it together in the Book of the Way. Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, bro.
Yeah. Well, I cut you off. Sorry, dude. Anyway, from what I understand, they don't even really know who did Lao Tzu. It's kind of like that mythical legend, like Thoth or Icarus or Osiris, or what I mean. So, but we know that these people were put into myth. So they didn't have to be believable, or they didn't have to make, if they made sense.
They do that. There is no definitive proof they were real. Yeah, so
right, and they're real. These people are real, and they're higher dimensional beings, and they're here with us all the time. but they don't intervene unless they need to. And that's because they're like our higher selves. We're a higher self. We're a giant motherfucker compared in our perception. We actually have a giant motherfucker that we are that's controlling us. On a little, like, let's think about it like on a little box on the TV screen or a laptop screen. And that little guy that you're controlling is what we are.
Yeah.
Right now as humans.
Yeah, as the avatar. I know, who was it that said
but we
when someone asked, it was
child, lower self, that lower aspect too.
Edgar Tolle said everything that you can imagine of yourself, you already are. You're already the rock star. You're already the movie star. You're already a legend. You're already royalty. Everything that you can imagine in yourself that you want to be good and holy and great and better than you are, you need to realize you already are that.
Right.
You just think you're not because you're thinking with this avatar and you think.
And remember this,
like you said with the video game.
Yeah.
That's
jumping into that
game.
is not. Yeah. You're not just going to jump back in. This is why when you jump back into it and you finally find that power, that inner power that you have, and realize that you're connected to that flow. I think what we have a problem with is this is where ego comes into play big time, because as you start to realize you have that power, it's really hard not to become like this, like you were talking about earlier, like holier than thou or judgmental.
Yeah. Because
you do see things, but it's not, for me, it's not judgmental in a way of like, oh, it's, this person smokes cigarettes or this person fucking does heroin. No, it's more judgmental as in like, I'm making a judgment call. If you're a danger to others.
Yeah, agreed.
And me, then there's a problem.
Right.
If you're not a danger, go fucking do whatever the fuck you want. I'm not judging you for that. Like that's what you want to do.
I can try to guide you to some water, but you don't have to fucking drink that shit.
That's right. And I'm not even gonna. There's sometimes that's your part of the plan. That's your part of the stage of
you can't make them drink. Well, you know what they're saying. There's a reason for that saying. Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
That's
only if you feed that. Only if you feed that wolf. But it will tempt you. That's why the temptation of Christ, the last temptation of Christ. That's why that scenario was happening even for Jesus, was that he was being tested and tempted by nefariousness, by evil. To look, you could have all of this. All you have to do is not have yourself be crucified, not sacrifice yourself, and you can have all these riches. Same thing, like you were saying. If you let it go to your head, you can then think you're in charge.
And we all will. I'm telling you, if you're actually on the right path, you're waking up, you will get to that Icarus stage. We've talked about the hermit stage where you kind of fall back, and we've talked about the stage of like going into the darkness, right? The dark night of the soul.
Yeah.
But we don't talk enough about that Icarus stage when we do finally break through and we see that.
And that's a good story to read.
And then we start looking down at people like we're fucking better than them, or we have something more than them. Or we don't have any, like, Jesus said, for those who haven't sinned, who have not sinned, cast the first stone. Right? That same concept.
Agreed. Right. And you're right. Maybe we're gonna have to do a show on that. Jacqueline is home. She said she'll be in a minute. So
awesome.
the whole concept of what we're talking about right now is gonna probably change, but we can get her back on this track, I think, once we do the commercial.
Well, no, we are kind of still talking about
I think we're like in Jacqueline's vibe right now, dude. I'm thinking that because she's coming on.
Right. I think you're right, because she'll be playing right into this as well as soon as she knows what we're talking about.
And have another perspective. Yes.
She will.
Right.
Yeah. So, but
and that's the whole thing is perspective.
On that, and maybe we'll just continue with that, because you're right, we don't, and we haven't, which is weird. You would think that we had thought of this, but we didn't until just now when you said that, Aaron. As soon as you said it, I was like, right, he's right. We don't warn people enough about that part of the ego that's going to rear its ugly head when you start learning things, getting full of yourself. Right, that's part of the defense against the dark arts. You become the dark one because your ego starts telling you, like you said, I believe that I'm better than them. I have something they don't. They need me, or they're not going to get it. Right.
Right. And you get because you start to realize, holy shit, I do have power. But when you start to do that, then it gets clouded more for yourself, not more for others.
Right.
Until you start to get really corrupted, as in, I'm holding this power. That's why they say, especially in the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, they say that there's a dark brotherhood that is posing as false light.
But there's also a light brotherhood.
Because they can live in light. They can live in that light. Like, just light doesn't mean good, because people can live in the light. And they aren't we seeing this right now?
In a very black
they're in the spotlights. They're in they're the most admired or whatever.
Right.
Hold on, we got a guest right
in a very black and white way to look at things.
There's Jacqueline.
Your
Welcome.
inner child is your lower self. It is that part of your roots. It is that lower aspect of yourself. Right. And then you have that higher self, right? But right in the middle, you have your ego.
Get up in there.
Okay.
Get up in there.
Your ego, your heart, that place in which we're always trying to bring people and tell everyone that everything should go through, right? Well, that inhabits also your ego. When we are first born, it's not our brain, but our heart. Now, our brain encompasses our mind. Our DNA encompasses our everything, right? But we are born every time into a brand new vessel, a new avatar, right? That will have experiences that will interlink with all that stuff within your DNA, right? Understanding how you work.
Jacqueline, remember our conversation that we had earlier today? Look at what Peter just said about, or what Peter said about Peter in the Bible.
The cycles.
I was just talking to Jacqueline today at lunch, and we talked for like, I don't know how long it was, an hour or so, or maybe longer. And we were talking about Peter in the church, and that he was gay, and that he didn't like the fact that Jesus was in love with Mary, and he's quoted as making quotes that show in history that he was gay. And here's Peter jumping in and saying the only reason that Jesus denied Peter was because he was gay. Right? That's hilarious that he said that. So I was like, Jacqueline, we just had this conversation, bro.
Hello, Jacqueline. How are you?
Hello, Jacqueline. Yes, sorry.
Thank you for
I was trying to quickly finish up that thought there.
No, yeah, you were in your own, so I'm just, yep. And Bridget wanted to say hello too. She's being shy.
Hello, Bridget.
I know. Hi, Bridget.
You want to say hi? No. Okay.
No,
she said no.
Hi. That's okay.
Yeah. So I'm very.
She just wants to give you her energy.
So we're just talking about
cycles,
just cycles and like judgment. I think judgment is coming up a lot, like how we judge people, how we judge things, how we get, taken in things, like we let ourselves get like sucked up into certain rabbit holes that
and Sun is trying Neptune,
that
bringing that
we all do. I've been so guilty of that because I'm so excited to learn new things that I will. It's really, I think people that are sensitive or more vulnerable to being sucked into like these false narratives.
Right.
And
unfortunately, with the way things are going,
because if you're not grounded in your beliefs yet, you don't. And see, and here's where I kind of struggle in getting people to understand it. What I'm trying to say. You want to be grounded in your beliefs. You want to have firm boundaries. You want to know exactly where you're coming from, who you are, what you're doing, right? So that you can always be kind of safe from those outer influences, right? Energetically. However, believing anything so strongly that you've now made roots that will never entirely leave may be damaging to your growth in the world, right? Because now you're simply just that little kid that just is stomping their foot, refusing to ultimately take that
fucking Martin Luther King, dude. She must be related to him. So I think she's like the reborn fucking Martin Luther King Jr.
Right? Be careful. They always go after when a leader speaks, a leader dies. That leader dies. That's a great song by In Living Color.
Cult of personality, bro.
Cult of personality, baby. Right? We were just talking about that. So wait, I want to get Jacqueline in here because Jacqueline. Let's get. First of all, the conversation will continue. However,
there we go. Scoot in, Jacqueline. Nobody can see you. You gotta get to the light. Come to the light, Mike.
Jacqueline
don't worry about
is doing some stuff on the solstice, and I'm going to be someone that's going to be helping her with volunteering my time for a few hours on either the 21st or the 22nd, which is next Tuesday and Wednesday. We're trying to figure out some time, and I'm trying to get some other people to help out as well. So Jacqueline, explain to everybody, because I know you got a thing you're doing locally, and then we're going to do something for a global platform as well, correct? So explain to everybody what you're planning and what you're doing that I'm going to be volunteering for to help you with on the 21st and the 22nd of next week, which is the summer solstice, right? Yeah. So go ahead.
Absolutely beautiful, and it's totally true what you were saying, Norma. It's really people are stuck in false premises or octaves that they don't understand that they have that ability to move through that, regardless of what their experiments or environment or any of that stuff. So June 21st, it was put on my heart at the beginning of this year. It's time to really open our hearts collectively and have those individuals as ambassadors, not only globally, also universally. So I started simply by planning a local event, and it's going to be June 21st, 12 to 6, open to all the public. We're going to do a barbecue. I just got confirmation about Sacred Fire, so I get to go pack it
Nice.
out tonight. And also, too, we're going to have live music and an open mic so people can join. And then also, too, we're going to live stream it, navigating between all time zones. Even though we're time, we've got a few time zones. And so
Jacqueline, can you do me a favor? Just bring your mic a little closer to your mouth.
it's
Just
because, okay, can
there
you
we
hear
go.
me?
That's a little better. There we go. Thank
Okay,
you.
hold on.
Sorry about that. I didn't mean to cut you off.
We
I
are
just
outside.
wanted to make sure people could
No,
hear
it's
you.
okay.
Yes,
I'm
we
having
want
to
to
turn my sound all the way up to hear her too. It's my microphone's low.
I got to get a new one. Every time I
There we go. There we go. You're better. You're
Okay.
better.
So it's because I go so high, but so June 21st locally, it will be at Burgoyne Woods, which is 70 Edgedale Road, and we're gonna have a barbecue, open mic. All are welcome to join, and we're gonna have a sacred fire and all that sort of good stuff.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
It's gonna be epic. It's only been 6 months of planning, and I'm so freaking stoked because now it's happening. Because this is the beginning of a whole new age dawn and opening.
Yeah, we'll help you out. We'll help you out
Oh,
if you need it. Just let us know where you need us.
So it's going to be online too, and then at some point, I feel like in the future is have more local events globally. Everyone kind of, because it's really what was put on my heart was to bring awareness to mental health, addiction, homelessness, suicide, and poverty. Because no one wants to talk about it.
Well, and those are like our key roots, right? That's like keys to like the bigger issue in everything, right? Ultimately.
Absolutely. And those 5 octaves, when people truly see their power in the situation,
Come on, handshake. Secret handshake. Go right here.
allow themselves to not only feel that liberation, to be that for them collectively. Because
slap hands first.
Are the most important essence and
what is this? That's a
cherish.
What is that?
And if we have that sacred space for others.
Sorry.
The dog was wild because you know. Is that the little one?
Sorry.
No, don't apologize, man. This is what it's
I got a 5-year-old. I'm trying to keep entertained right here. I'm trying to teach him
and we have
secret
a little
handshake.
shepherd over here that thinks she's a lap dog, and the lap dogs acting like assholes.
Yeah, our
because they're quite
Chihuahuas,
jealous.
dude.
And it's fun.
And you know, I've known this for a while, but I haven't spoken out. You know, Chihuahuas are actually the closest to a wolf. And I know this is totally off Jacqueline, but don't worry, Jacqueline. You got the floor most of the time.
Yes.
But they are the closest thing to a wolf. They were the ones that were actually where they've got other dogs from, other than wolves having sex, you know, because they do breed with other dogs. But the Chihuahua is actually the closest descendant or ascendant to a wolf.
Cool.
That's why they're so
Which is
tough,
why
bro.
when
They
she's
think they're
flying,
wolves. They think they're as big as wolves and they're badass.
Yeah, they do.
They're not afraid of anybody, bro.
They have a wolf mentality
She
too.
got no teeth.
If you put 3 Chihuahuas together, dude, they plot. Like they work together.
Yeah.
I had 3 at one time, and those little shits.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, we're going back to this the fire ceremony.
Yes.
Oh, that sounds interesting.
So I'm gonna add to it. I got a Chihuahua, and he's Chihuahua Terrier, and his name's Scrappy Doo, and
yeah.
You're Scrappy Doo,
Scrappy
nice.
Doo, that's Scooby Doo's little brother, right?
Yeah.
Scrappy Dappy Doo, yeah.
Yeah, and does have that.
I mean, mine need a boo.
So needless to say, it was put on my heart to do June 21st and June 22nd, locally and globally, so then everyone can actually participate. Actually, in Ireland, he was going to partake. There's also my friend Chintanu in India, a few others globally too. And really, at the end of every single moment that we bring this energy forth, that we really honor each other and have that sacred space for those to still come. That's what really was put on my heart is to really gather the people and the people. Like there's no advertisement. I'm not advertising it. There's no posters put up. It's all word of mouth, attraction, not promotion. Because when we are speaking to one another heart to heart,
Right.
The whole army.
Like we don't want someone coming in and thinking that they have some place that they can do anything that is going to dishonor any other person. We would like to attract those like minds or those that truly need some assistance that aren't out there trolling someone else.
Absolutely. And also, too, it doesn't matter what's happening.
Which ultimately is beating themselves up. Sorry.
No, it's so true.
You're dealing with pirates right now, so please be patient.
Listen,
Right.
friend,
Yeah, you're on Skull Island right now, so you're
We are
dealing with
rebels. We are always going to be rebels.
Right.
That's just the way it works. But I'm loving what you're talking about. I'm loving this. I think.
This is the zone.
But I want to
of
see how it
the
works. This
gray
is like a
Jedi.
thought experiment, right? So you're letting it go through just connection and word of mouth, which is cool. Let's see how far it grows, far and wide it spreads. Let's spread it out. Oh wait, that's promotion. We can't do that. We got to let it just symbiotically happen.
Right.
So I can't tell anybody right now that you're about to do something, a big event.
You
I'm
can tell
promoting you,
anybody. Yeah,
All right.
you can do anything you want.
Word of mouth.
Like for me, it was all word of mouth because I've learned through.
Jacqueline sells herself short a lot. She's a lot more powerful than she lets on.
But that's because she has created a space.
Very
for
humble.
to do
Yeah,
that.
which is the
That's
scariest ones. Be careful with the humble.
Yeah, it's the quiet ones and the humble ones you got to look out for.
Oh shit, they have a lot of fire in there.
She's
They've just
created
been
a
holding
space
in.
to do that.
And they got to blow it off sometimes.
I'm only 34, so I got tons of time. That's what I'm told. The 40s.
Right? Oh, yeah, you got plenty
me
of
too.
time, girl. I'm like 43.
Right?
If I work it out perfect, I'm gonna die before anybody has to change my diapers. I don't want people to do that. If it gets to that point,
what if we have automatic
I'm
diapers at
sailing.
that point?
I mean, we may, but I don't know. I don't know.
Well, see, and here's the thing. I've been like learning a lot of new things about just kind of nature, right? Because here's the thing. I want to go jump in and be all gung-ho and just start growing my stuff and doing my stuff. But there's a huge percentage of what is available to me right now that is totally genetically modified.
Yep.
Unless I find those specific keywords, those specific places, unless I make those proper connections, I may just be growing a bunch of what's going to kill me tomorrow, right?
Which is returning to the old ways, which is the way I understand the group.
Yes.
And he brought it up.
Yes.
Leo brought it up twice, and I am part of that group,
Yes.
and I don't speak that much in that because, dude, I got a fucking lot of things. I talk to a lot of people, dude, every day. Like, I know I get on there for an hour and I talk to people, but Jacqueline knows, and so do you, dude. You're responding to emails and people that are sending you messages.
Right.
So I don't jump in there. I don't jump in there that much.
When people don't even know, like, today, Jacqueline and I just impromptu talked for like an hour. Right?
Nice.
Yeah. I mean, that just happens, right? And then I was talking to somebody the other day, and she said, "Why are you not live talking about this?" I said, "Because I talked about it on Friday live on my show, but you weren't there. You didn't listen to it. That's why I'm telling you now. I mean,
right? Yeah. Well, see, and that's just it. And a lot of us are so disconnected that even though we're trying to get connected, we're trying to do this, that, or the other, we're so disconnected that we don't even realize.
Because it kind of means, but you know why? Because it kind of means you need to be uncomfortable around people that you may not agree with.
Right.
But be able to at least work on something common and find something in common. It doesn't have to be everything.
Right.
But it has, what it's about is for the greater good of everybody. This is not like we're forcing you to do this.
No.
Right.
Or we're manipulating you to do this.
That's right.
It's if you want to be part of it, you want to be part of this movement, part of the magic and the energy that's going to ripple out.
Or even,
and that's what makes it even cooler because you're kind of you're challenging yourself. It's like I want to go a whole podcast without saying right, unless it's used in the proper context.
I say right all the time. I don't think it's going to happen.
Or like those are filler words which you should use sometimes. But is too, but it works.
Yeah.
But I'm learning how to do this across the airwaves, which is
in the beginning because you don't realize how often that you use those terms. People do it all the time, and they go or they, you know what I mean, or they say, you know what I mean. A lot of that happens.
Well, see, now, you know what I mean. That's my
word.
word.
To string words around that actually mean something that is better than using all of those words. It takes a little bit of doing. I'm sure I go back and listen.
Let's do it. Let's do it right now. Let's go all the rest of the time without saying right.
Yeah. When I say those words, it's because I grew up in a household that someone made me believe that they were listening But in order to confirm I'm being heard in any
They were just saying
capacity-
right and yeah.
Well, no, actually, I got
weren't really
nothing, and
listening.
so I'd finally, to trigger their like response, like I'm ready for people to respond to me, I'd either go, you know what I mean, or right.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I got made fun of that one time because I kept
So
saying I was working on a golf course, and this kid was like,
that would be
he'd already
hard.
worked there for a long time, and I was just working it because I'm like, no responsibility. I can go golf it every day. I mean, shit, I'll just go mow lawns, you know. And I do like, there's something about like just
Yes.
taking care of like green because it's a living thing, and you can really see it, and it has its own like personality. Like
Yes.
that whole
And it's
golf
right next to
course
the earth.
has like, it is a living being,
Yes.
dude. And anyway, I kept saying that. I just was in this like thing of, you know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And I said, and the dude's like, yeah, I know what you're saying, dude. Quit saying that.
You know what? You want to hear something funny about that? Back when I was a bouncer, I lived in a house where we were all bouncers, right? So we threw
Yeah.
a party, and it's really easy. You don't have to hire any bouncers when everybody in the house is a bouncer.
Right.
So we threw this party, and it got really
Everyone's
big,
on
and there was
that.
people showing up. We're like, what the hell just happened, right? So it ended up being like a legendary party that people showed up to. There was this guy who none of us knew. We didn't know half of the people, and it was our house. We're like, who are all these people? So we ended up regulating the house because we had to, and eventually we shut the whole thing down because it just got way out of control. It was becoming a rave. But in the interim, there was this guy who none of us had ever met. He got so drunk because he used to, when he was talking, he was always going, know what I'm saying? He got so drunk, that's all he could say.
Oh no.
Right? And literally, you
yes.
would say to him, hey,
Get
how you
yourself
doing? He'd
stuck in a
go,
loop.
know what I'm saying?
Just
And
get
so-
yourself
Know what I'm
stuck in that
saying,
loop.
man.
So we
Yep.
actually referred to him as Mr. Know What I'm Saying. That
Yep.
was his name amongst all of us bouncers. How's
Any
Know What
tool
I'm Saying doing? He's
can
drunk and all he
become
can
that
say
kind
is
of
Know What I'm Saying. So
crutch.
eventually we stopped him drinking. And then eventually we were like, does anybody know Mr. Know What I'm Saying? Because he needs a ride home. But he was so drunk, he literally, even slurring, he was like, his eyes are closed. And we're like, dude, are
I'm
you okay?
drunk.
He's like,
You know what I'm saying?
I'm saying, man, like I got this all figured out.
I know, and you know what? I
trying
won't
to get a
listen like
drink.
my podcasts or any of the things that I do. I rarely, unless I need to check something, I do not go back and watch my shit.
I don't either.
I'm like, I don't. Like, if I have to like edit something, I
Wow,
will.
I was brilliant. I don't remember saying that.
No, I don't. I don't even do music or anything. I will listen to my music because you're
Well,
recording.
yes, I mean,
You're always listening to how you can do better or
Right.
if it needs to change. But I
It's
still
not
hate it.
release,
Like
and
she's like all ready to listen
oh,
to
I
it.
get upset.
Let's play it. I want to
I'm
show
like,
it to
okay,
everybody.
I'm
I'm like,
sorry, babe.
goddamn, I don't want to listen to myself anymore. Like, no, I
You
just
don't have
like
to. Give
why-
me some headphones, because your project is my medicine. So deal with it,
and I'm glad that is. It is. I consider my acts a healing tool.
right? And that's just it. Is we all get too self-critical, too and I get that. I don't want to have to hear me all the time either, especially like if I've had a drink or two. I tend to get very nasally and extremely loud.
She gets like this. She
Point
talks
is-
like this, and it really gets annoying.
The point is that being able to have faith in what you're doing, and seeing this is, I like faith better than belief, other than I was always sold throughout my childhood to have that blind faith, and I think that's.
But we
bullshit
should
too.
never have faith in another entity other than ourselves.
Right.
The support comes when we have faith in ourselves to do it and get it done. Because if we had true faith in ourselves, we would ask for help when we needed
Right.
it, and we
Right.
get it.
Right. See, and I get very self-critical, and I actually stop myself from doing a lot of
Okay,
things.
Martin Luther King. Not Martin Luther. He's another guy.
I'm a king today.
Okay, we gotta let other people speak.
All right, let's go.
Oh, thank you for getting the cover.
So let's go to where we were just prior to Jacqueline coming on, because now everybody knows what we're going to be doing, which Jacqueline's doing next week on the 21st, 22nd. And then there's going to be a bunch of us that are going to assist in ways that we can, giving a place, holding a place where people, it's a safe place for people to be able to speak and not have to worry about being trolled or anything like that.
Right.
Right. So what we were talking about, and this is something that Aaron brought up that we didn't really think about until he said it. Even when he said it, he was like, why didn't we think about this? Out of all the things that we've been talking about on all of our shows, we forgot and we just kind of passed over the whole idea of the Native American. That's what started this. The Native American, which wolf do you feed? And the temptation of the ego And and this is what we were saying when you first came in, what we were alluding to, and I want to get Jacqueline's opinion on
the
this.
The Icarus stage, dude.
Yeah, the Icarus theory, or the Icarus stage of gluttony of the soul, to where you know something, you think you know everything, and then you end up, your ego kicks in, and pretty soon you think you're the shit, and then you fly too close to the sun, and guess what happens? That wax on those feathers melts, and you crash back down to earth. Which is the dark night of the soul, and that whole storyline is about that. Don't count your chickens before they hatch.
That's right.
In essence. So, what's your take on that, Jacqueline? Because I want to get your take and run with this, because you don't hear enough people talking about that. Hey, warning people, hey, listen, don't get too crazy, because this is the stuff that they've warned about throughout time, and then we all think we're bigger, our heads get big, and we think we're the shit, when we need to stay humble. And how to help people to identify that, see it, and stay humble.
So, so I'm getting the big picture here, but I'm also getting the little. Really, I know itself be true, because it's wrong. Sweet cheeks. Oh, that's not the phone. It's in my purse. The other phone. Right? Like, I can't do anyone else's for them, and if I am personally honest and have integrity, then I intuitively and innately know that right direction. If I don't have any integrity or honesty or even acceptance, then I'm going to keep going against the grain, thinking that for the longest time I did that, right? All the way up until I think it was like 2012, and I fell down some stairs, and I was like, fuck, here goes something else. And even up until I think it was like 20, I thought I was on top of the world, yet it was very diluted and distorted, because I wasn't understanding my true nature and my power, that I wasn't in this space-time vessel that I am.
Pull your mic a little bit closer. Pull your mic a little bit closer. Yep. Like, just get it right up on your mouth a little bit. It's cutting it out. And it might just be me. How about you, Leo? Are you hearing her okay?
No, I gotta turn my sound up all the way to the 100% before I can hear her.
It's this microphone.
Yeah.
It's this microphone.
Baby.
I can.
She sounds good right there.
Okay. There we go. Yep.
Cool. So, needless to say, for the longest time, I was living in that sort of distortion, polarization. And then it was finally when I started to awaken to my true nature and my gifts, that's when I was able to have that integrity and honesty. Because for the longest time, somebody if they're not aware of it, then they're going to keep doing that particular pattern. Right?
Norma just said right.
Yeah.
Right.
I felt like it triggered something earlier. Sorry, my bad.
It's like,
yep.
And that's where I've come to learn, is like, when I first started awakening, I was so worried that I wanted to keep it very private. Like, no, nobody can see this light, because that was the conditioning. The conditioning that I had to stay in, like, almost like a lampshade. Like, how cover it, I had to stay almost flat. And then finally, when I was able to my innermost self, that, wait a second here, this isn't what was intended for us. We're here to be light. We're here to be embodiment of source. And then I just, like, even today when I woke up, something took place, and I'm like, wait a second, what? And then I thought about it, and I was like, wow, it's not that we're talking. And then I came to that deeper knowing. I was like, well, I could go on and say I don't know anything, which is false. Or I could say the truth. So then I called that person. They were busy, so I was like, okay. So I brought it up to my daughter. She's like, oh, okay. And then I knew in my heart, in my mind, that one infinite, that it's about the integrity. The mind to find out the truth. Like, for example, the reason why I put this together is because it's already been here, right? And it's just a handful of us tell another handful and another handful about the things that we've had to overcome, right? Because I've experienced all of them to one degree or another, consciously, unconsciously. That they don't have to live in a poverty mindset. They don't have to have suicidal idolations, because they feel like they're alone in life. They don't have to live in the and be terrified of their own life. And also homelessness, it's not just somebody feeling sad. It's a reason why they believe that's the only thing for them, right?
Yeah.
And mental health and addiction, they go hand in hand. Because the mental
Yes.
part of us can either really do us in or really uplift us. And the health part is most people are still living uh, fear-based mindset rather than the homeoluminescent or the homeostasis, and that's really that's where I've come to
Like,
understand that I can.
yes, I feel like that whole 3D plane that we've been brought up into that's just it. We got so accustomed to some idea of things that truly understanding the power in these things. I'm technically, if you want to label it, homeless. We call ourselves pneumatic noobs. We're learning new ways of being able
But we're
to
not
get by in
homeless.
this
Like,
world.
are homeless wherever the fuck we
That's
go.
right,
And
right?
there are a lot of homeless that think that way.
And I
Right.
feel like yes, but many of us have been brought up into this ideology, whether consciously or subconsciously, because a lot of it does come with the growing up programming, right? I mean, there's plenty of it after we're adults and we're bringing the news or whatever, but it's as we're growing up in whatever religion, ideology, culture, etc. it might be, a certain way of things. And even when we're rebels, it is amazing to realize within yourself the cycle of coming back to that whole, oh shit, wait, hang on. I was just fighting against that. Why am I bringing it up? Why is that my defense? Right? Being able to truly look at, I know, shut up.
You're listening. Plane of existence.
But really being able to understand those aspects of yourself without judging yourself, without being all upset about certain, you know what I mean? Really being able to take those looks at yourselves. I know, honey. I
Look at that.
told
See
you
how
it was
we
going
do
to
it?
be
We
much
do it a
harder for
lot,
me
don't we?
because
It's going to be funny, though. I'm going to point it out.
You're right. Well,
Because, you know what I mean?
and I will find better ways.
You know what I mean?
He will give me so much shit.
Right?
Right? Yeah.
But I will find another way to do this.
We're
I'll
all
find
home.
words.
No, but back to topic. I mean, I really feel like, yeah, we're
Having a
raised,
space
or
for-
we
yeah.
watch everybody else do something that they're all doing, and then we kind of just tend to do it because when you're kids, that's what you do.
Yeah.
You know, and yes, being a rebel there is something to that. It just means that you're not just going along; you're actually finding out why everybody else is going along. And in some cases,
Sometimes.
those
Sometimes you're
go-alongs
just
are
fighting
not a good place to go. And sometimes they are. Like sometimes it's just being practical and being smart about things.
Right. Most
But
of the time.
other times it's like if it's there's a lot of other things, especially right now we're seeing happen where people get brought into these fear-based kind of programming.
Mhm.
And
We're
we
always
see
on
this
about
with the
something.
shootings, we see this with the pandemic,
Wars.
we see this with
Pandemic.
all of that shit. There's always this like little,
Be cautious.
and they always reach your little virtue, like your virtue of like your Icarus stage, right?
Mhm.
They reach that Icarus stage of like, I have power because I'm connecting to this. So I feel powerful in telling you that you're a racist or you're a Nazi because you have a different thought about things. And that's where I always like to play it, is in that place of like, okay, all you do-gooders think that you're doing good right
We call
here.
it devil's
But I'm gonna
advocate,
tell
even
you
though we're not
right
talking
now,
anything evil.
I've had a drink with the devil and I've had a drink with God. And I'm really not afraid of either one of them. Because I know that I am playing out this role on this fucking stage that is
In this
experiencing
life, this
both.
episode. Yes.
And being able to have the integrity, like Jacqueline says, to choose the right in certain ways. And I hate to use that term because it's a Mormon term and they have like wore these rings and shit.
Yeah, but they
Choose
were
the
always
right.
talking about one certain side.
But no, to choose that like
Balance.
if you're
That
do you want to be the
balance.
villain in your story, or do you want to be the hero, or do you and that doesn't mean go out and pretend like you're a hero. It just means what do you want to be the protagonist or the antagonist? And you get to choose that.
Yeah.
Like many people do.
Oftentimes, I sit back, I let the world happen, and then
Did I say right?
yes,
I did? When? Catch me next time because I'm
I'm not going to point it out because I do it too much, and I told you to be really hard
All
on me. Anyway, I'll
I said
eventually
all
point it
right.
out.
I didn't say right. That wasn't me. Just to let the record show.
My point would be
Stenographer, write that shit down.
that recognizing the roles you've played, the cycles in which you've lived throughout your life, knowing in which aspects it is you are desiring change, and which aspects in which, because it is not about all light. And then look, I can grow plants without soil. You're right. I don't need the mud and the dirt. However, if there's too much light on those roots, I'm not going anywhere. I do need the soil. I do need the darkness.
We only have 3 people
balance,
watching, y'all. Come on, share this out, share this out, share this out. I know I don't like to sound like a fucking ringleader, that ringleader of the circus. That's what. Come on in. But really, don't make me do that because I will.
Which is why the black and white aspect, our inner child is our darkness and our roots, and our higher self is our light.
So what you're saying is the dark and the light. There's a place for both of them.
Yes.
Yes.
Dark and the light doesn't mean good and evil. Good and evil come in both dark and light.
Exactly. Yes.
And the evil that comes from the light a lot of the times is those people that think that they have it all figured out, and everybody should live this way, or they have it all figured out and you're not doing it right.
What I would do, just listen to me. I got it all figured out. Those are the people you don't want to listen to.
That's it.
You want to listen to everything that everybody says to you, and
I love calling those people out, or at least
right for you. And
I've always been able to prove those people wrong, dude. Those the naysayers, the ones that like, I gotta live this way and this is the way you're supposed to live. No, it's not. You don't have to. You're choosing to live that way in uniformity, and sometimes that works. But usually for me, well, maybe I'm just broken. I don't know. But the uniformity doesn't work unless we're all working on a common goal that's for something that's going to, enrich all of us.
And see, and for me.
And not to force anybody out, even if they're the minority, we're not pushing people out. If we can't get it without pushing people out, a certain minority, then it's not worth it for me. And that's what I feel like integrity is.
Yes. And my goal is understanding me enough and the roots in which certain diagnoses or certain outside aspects come into play into my being within this realm, how they play on a deeper level so that I might assist others that have the same diagnoses or issues that I have and help guide them to, if nothing else, at least be at this level where, yes, you still feel some pain and you're still dealing with some things, but you're in control.
Now don't say anything. See how they're not saying right? See how much more gravity that had? Because it was just letting it reverberate.
Let it
sit. You guys get what I'm saying? You guys get what I'm saying?
Yes, we do.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, what do they call that when you're speaking? What is that? There's a technique, or they have a name for it.
Linguistics.
It's linguistics.
And I am learning this.
Dude, it is so powerful when you learn how to speak and get your rhetoric proper. And that's always something I try to learn and get better at.
I actually did an entire show on that, and I gave the differences and showed people, because people were saying, you know, you're rambling. I'm like, no, I'm speaking in parables here. I'm not rambling. You just understand the parables. There's some people out there who don't. And let me explain to you how that works. And, one of the guys caught that on one of the shows that I was a part of, and he was into hypnosis. And he said,
yes.
Wow, you're using your voice and you're demanding without demanding. You're forcing everyone who's listening to you, you're forcing their vibration to raise up, whether they like it or not.
Yep.
He says, do you do that on purpose? I said, absolutely I do.
That's right.
When I'm speaking, I choose the words that come out of my mouth on purpose. Yep. I'm not just randomly throwing a bunch of words together to try and sound cool at all, right?
That you want for your own higher good.
Of what you're saying, how you're saying it, when you're saying it, because I've learned over time, and I've said this to other people, it's part of spycraft. You can learn a lot about a person, not by what they say, but what they don't say. You can also learn a lot about a person on how they say the things they do and don't say.
Watching their body language.
I learned that over time,
their body reacting to their mind.
Microphone, that you have to, when you're speaking to a crowd, you have to learn the room. Well, the room is, I'm looking for a vibration that starts down here and everywhere in between in every vibration. So somewhere in there, I have to do the parable. If you listen,
well, and as being in a band, you've been in a band. When you know what a front man is, right?
He talked and he gave 7 different parables that meant the exact same thing. He said the same thing 7 times in a row. And only people who actually understand that will sit there and read that and go, this is the same shit over and over again. But if you don't, because you're not privy to that vibration, you're going to say, wow, that was a totally different story. And I get it now, because different people learn on different levels. I didn't mean to cut you off, Aaron. Go ahead.
Well, I was trying to actually just strengthen what you were already saying, and I'm not saying right. Anyway,
without saying right, yeah.
What? No, and you learn like if you were in a band, you know the front man has to bring up that energy, and so does the rest of the band. Right. So I had to learn that, and what I learned was, and I learned it from my bass player because he played a lot of gigs before me, and I played a few. I was still pretty green. I was a rookie. He goes, dude, go out there. How's everybody doing tonight? You know what I mean? Get loud. Like, how you need to, like, that energy is low when you first go in there. And that's where I learned how to bring that vibration up, is going in there and putting out more of myself, waking up fucking hungover, going in at fucking 7 o'clock at night and bringing my energy up. And I think that's why I can do that. Like, I've always been able, I learned it from there. But I mean, I always had it naturally, but I can always bring my energy up because I fucking love life. So that's the key. Like, I love life. I really do. I love it a lot.
I speak to that with an example. Back in the day, I mean, wrestling is still, WWE is still around, but specifically Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan was a friend of my uncle's. I never actually met Hulk Hogan, but I went to many shows that he was involved in. And there was one that I went to that was in San Jose, and my brother was there, and we went there and they were filming. It was on a Sunday, but they were filming Monday Night Raw, because it's never actually live. You think it is. They always film it ahead of time just in case some crazy shit happens. So we were there on a Sunday, and they were filming the show that was going to air the next day, which was cool because we got to go home and watch it live. I was there. So here's the example of that. Hulk Hogan was doing his Hulk Hogan business, and he was out there, and you have to keep your energy up at a certain level, okay? And he was doing this, and he went through, and he did the whole thing, and he was getting beat up, and then he was just shaking, and he ripped off his shirt, and he came alive, and the whole crowd was going crazy. And then what they did was they had one of those machines that's like an accordion that has the basket that goes up so you can like work on shit that's like 400 feet in the air. They went over and they got him out on that, and it drove through the crowd. We were sitting, we're literally on the aisle, and we were about 5 feet from the actual where they went into the backstage. So we could see behind the curtain and see backstage. And Hulk Hogan was sitting up there, and he was doing all the flexing, and he was doing all the stuff, and the crowd was going crazy. And they did this whole thing, and he gets over there, and they go back behind the stage. And when they went behind stage with the machine and the curtains closed, he fucking collapsed on shit. And they had to pick him up with 6 guys and carry him off. But he was keeping his energy level up as if he was fresh and brand new, and he put everything he had into that scene. And when he was done, he couldn't even stand up.
Oh, people don't understand that. People don't understand that when you get on stage and you're playing for 3 hours. Okay, so usually if I go to work and I'm playing as a musician, right, in a band or a live act, I go there for 4 hours, probably 4.5 hours. I play three-hour sets. Unless I'm playing a casino, I play like 5 or 6, which I would never do because casinos rip you off. Anyway, as a performer. But you go up there and you spend 3 1-hour sets, you are spent more. I've done a lot of jobs in the hot sun. I've done a lot of jobs that were hard labor. I have never expelled more energy than I did playing guitar and singing and leading that show. And every one of us was worn out. Like, it doesn't matter which one you were in the band, but it takes, because you're utilizing your energy, creativity, you're putting it out there. If I go on and I do readings, same thing. Like, if I can go on for like half hour to an hour, if I go on anymore, I can't. I can, but no, it just starts to get like watered down because
I do my show, bro. It's the same way.
Yeah.
If I'm not careful here, I have to. This is no joke. I have a ritual that I do before the show. I sit down, I clear the energy in the room or the house that I'm working in, usually this house, and I usually keep it that way anyway. All my relatives come over and they're like, oh my God, I'm here for like a half an hour and I want to fall asleep. I'm like, that's because there's no evil nefariousness in here. This house is out of phase with the rest of the universe, and you're protected here. So your body relaxes and you go, oh, because it's comfortable. So I go through that ritual and do all of that, and I make sure I have caffeine, I have water, and I actually have a non-sweetened root beer flavored A&W root beer flavored water right here, just in case I want to taste something that tastes sweet, right? But there's no sugar in it. But I make sure that I have what I need to carry me through, because I burned learning when I was learning and being a Reiki master now, Reiki master teacher. You learn really quickly that you burn water when you transmute. And being a magic user, you know this as a healer, as a shaman, that when you, and then as a musician, whenever you're transmuting energy of any kind and you're putting it out there for people, and you're and even just talking on a show like this, you spend a lot of energy to do that, to get that energy out to people. When I was talking about before about using the tone of my voice, you have to be almost like a bard in this industry if you want people to actually understand and get.
It takes me a lot to get into that flow.
So that takes your energy, so you have to replenish it, and water is the most important. When I'm done, I do a 2-hour show, I'm almost dehydrated, and I have water with me during
and
the
hungry,
show.
dude. I'm like really hungry, like I just went on a long journey.
How much protein I've eaten.
I'm hungry and I'm thirsty.
You burn all your electrolytes and your water whenever you transmute anything. Yeah, and if you're doing seeing, you're doing card reads, you're doing psychic work, same thing. You're going to want to have something.
And we are connecting. Like, think about yourself as a CD. You're going through the antenna. The antenna would be the phone that you're going into, the device, and then those people are sharing their energy back with you. Whether it's good, bad, indifferent, whatever it is, what you deal with. And I've seen a lot of psychics just like have to sign off because they couldn't do it. Like they get flustered.
I get very flustered after so much energy, because
I like that
one
energy,
of my
dude.
cycles,
I actually like it. It's like a.
I do love it. I'll get very
kind of
high.
my own guilty pleasure.
Really fast, but the problem
that's the trade-off, though, Aaron.
It's for the service in which I'm trying to provide, which is very personal for someone. If I'm so bombarded and I can't guarantee that I'm connected with you and you alone right now, right? I feel like I'm doing a disservice, right? To try to tell you, I know, that this is yours. When I am so bombarded, I am unable to truly guarantee that. I know it's for you, yes.
She's making an excuse as to not go live, is what she's saying right now.
But like,
that's just my perception, but that's what I do for a living. I have power. Hold on, let's let Alice.
Hold on, guys.
Let Jacqueline talk.
Speak to that.
So I was going to add to that. If you notice, back in 2017, 2018, 19, the feminine rising took place on the World Wide Web, right?
Yep.
And then 20, 21, 22 is the men rising in the World Wide Web. So not that we don't want to go live. Our energy is behind the scenes in the non-physical and physical, coalescing it together.
Yeah.
So if we're not on a live stream, it's because we're busy streaming in other galaxies. And our work is being done elsewhere, right?
Agreed.
I'm going to say right now, that's what I've noticed. I'm like, so why am I not going live? And it's like, because, sweetie, you have groundwork to do. There's groundwork.
See, and I feel that, because here's the thing, even in my playfulness with TikTok, right? Because I would, at least if nothing else, I would go and do some stupid thing. Yeah.
I'm stopping you because we're in training.
But I would go and do some stupid little video that I found funny or informative or whatever, right? And
right? Don't we want to do that, right?
My daughter does it. I can't.
So
we all do it.
Anyway,
well, that's like
I
me
have
with the word understand.
I realized I've only been doing
program.
this at this point.
I don't stand under anyone, so I use understand, but it's in there, and you should say it.
I know.
So I'm spending my energy everywhere else at this point. That I'm noticing that I am serving certain areas in which I'd like to. However, I'm finding myself still giving myself excuses, and they're totally logical, right? Well, you want to know what you're saying. You want to have your points on guard. You want to make sure but they're excuses to not move forward, right? To just continue to stay in the background, to continue doing whatever I'm doing, and then I allow myself to teeter-totter on.
Yeah, she hangs on the fence, so she doesn't have to make a decision.
Right?
Like, don't give her any decisions when you go to the candy store. It's like when we go to the candy store, when there's like too many choices.
Ridiculous.
There's so many choices, we can't make a choice.
What?
That's Norma right there.
Huh? Hang on.
You still say right. You're still saying right.
I didn't say right again, did I?
You did, right behind what I was saying.
That's all right.
It's all right.
It's all right.
Mine is Hakuna Matata.
Right?
No,
Being
yeah.
correct I mean,
No, this is more of a
100%.
game for fun because
I gotta
it's
find
hard
words.
not to say that.
However, and those
It
are
is.
great games, right?
But eventually you'll
eliminate
get
And
it.
it sounds so much better when you don't say it as a filler word.
Ah, correct.
So I have a question for y'all since we're live and gonna plan more events. Do you guys want to help me put together a music one to bring awareness for more children? Oh, to help children and adults
Yeah.
be able to.
Oh,
Yeah, put it together. I play guitar. We have a little hang drum. We
We
have
have our hang drum. We have
I have a
our
harmonica.
We have a
That's why
harmonica.
I'm
We, you know,
opening it up because I feel like if we do it globally, because this is the vision that I've seen. If all of our feet are on the ground simultaneously, the 21st and 22nd, that's our
Yeah.
permanent granted.
most
No,
of what's on my page right now is guided meditations or sounds or mini mantras to just to elevate your own self, right?
absolutely.
So, yeah, I'm down. You want help with that because that's what I love, dude. Seriously, and I've been studying the neurolinguistics. I understand certain aspects that I'm still learning, but when you can really help someone to find their own space without giving them too much, right? Like not projecting your own views or your own sight or your own vision into their growth, and you can simply watch them grow into their own magnificence. I don't know. I find that it's beautiful,
I've learned to just teach others through my own experience. because
right?
As we learn and expand the experience, I can learn through everyone else's experience and realize that there is freedom in everything.
And many of us hate to be told, well, here's how it worked for me, right? It suddenly puts this pressure of, oh, so I'm supposed to do it like that on you, right?
And that's not even how
You
it is.
gotta say right after every sentence. You really have to say it every
I
time.
do. I told him it's gonna be hard for me.
Like, I love it though.
Well,
Isn't this
you
fun?
know
No,
what
this
it
is fun.
is. Well, you know what it is.
I'm
Is
kind of girl for a
it's
long
that
time.
you're seeking acknowledgement or
Yes, you're seeking.
agreement.
Yeah.
I
Acolytes
do have
from
part of my
You're like,
child
that's what
always
sucks
wants
about
to
it. It
be
makes it sound
forefront
like
of
you're not
everything.
believing what you're saying,
yeah.
right? See how that goes? Yeah.
Confirmation between octaves because
It's that inner part of me that wants recognition.
well, that's it.
Right,
When I first started videos and I listened back, I'm like, oh my goodness. Yet this part was connecting to this part, which was connecting to that part, and then bringing it threefold flame to the 12-fold.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
agree.
it's like, yes, right. So I'll say yes, right. What's not so much in my vocabulary more because I know
It's funny though when you have to like think about it, isn't it? It
See,
really
and we've
gets to
done
you.
this before. We called it the yes game with our kids, right? To
You know
really
what?
kind of
You know what the secret is, though, guys. The
Yeah.
secret is to stop worrying about it and
Yeah.
no, it is
Exactly.
because if you become self-conscious, then you start saying it more and more. Just
Yeah.
like when I get self-conscious about saying I understand or do you understand,
Well, see,
instead
and
of
that's
using an
why I said
alternative,
it's understanding
then you
where the
start
keywords
saying it
come
more often, and it gets in your
Well,
vocabulary.
I think it's like
there I
it's
go
going
again.
deep. Right, it's going into it. I said right.
Uh-huh.
It's going into a deeper thought or a deeper
Yes.
meaning of
It is
the validation
understanding-
you're trying to seek.
Mhm. It is understanding that in which brings you to that.
You're always
statement of
asking that because
consistent.
obviously all of us at one time in our life have thought that we weren't being heard. So we have, right? Do you understand what I'm saying?
That's
See, my
exactly
mom
what
would
it
go
is.
disassociate with
It's-
TV so
you're,
much
you're
that it
not
was
sure, so
But you know
you're
what I'm saying?
looking for
Right.
Let's see. I mean, I just said it, but at least it was in right context. But you have to start realizing and have confidence in your own self and your own
Yep.
speech. That the words that I'm going to choose are going to and stop overthinking. I had to slow down. You know me, guys. I get talking. I'm like, blah, 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 blah. I have to
Yes, me
slow
too.
down and allow the universe to put the thoughts into my mouth and then run with it. That's why when I go back, I joked earlier, I don't listen to myself because I go back and go, I don't even remember saying that. Because what happens
See,
is
and
I
that's
start
just it.
channeling and I start and I'm not paying attention and I just go and it gets out there. When I go back, I go, wow, that was bloody brilliant. I wish I would have wrote that because I could have thought that even better than I did. So
When
you
you
have to
just
get out
let
of
it
your own
flow.
head and
Just like
start
you,
allowing
I'm
it
finding
to flow.
that balance too. I can say some profound things. I can say some messed up things. But when I'm in that ADD moment where people think I'm on some kind of drug because I'm finally speaking, it just
No, it's
comes.
usually alcohol.
And yes, alcohol does assist me in
Yeah,
that.
it's usually
However,
what it
I
is.
gotta find that fine line because it can also be dumb.
Anyway,
Point is, it is finding that space in yourself and understanding your pattern. See, I found my observation can be very self, like, right? You know what I mean? Like, I am only paying.
We can all get that way where we get to a point of where we start to think the world revolves around us.
Right.
Yes,
So
that's that
yes,
Icarus.
to that degree,
That's that Icarus stage. That's before you're like willing to take full accountability and just go,
so
I'm doing it anyway.
When you're a
I don't
kid
care.
and you're doing things,
but it's a good stage.
Whatever you're realizing.
We all need to fall on our ass.
And then
there's
you
always
go to other phases where you're trying to gain
yourself. Once you admit that's yourself, then you take all the pressure off of yourself.
Yeah. All right, y'all. I'm gonna go get something to eat, so I want to wrap this up. So, Jacqueline, let everybody know the word of mouth. We're doing word of mouth right now, so let everybody know where they can find your event.
June 21st. I've got the page for Global Ambassadors on Facebook and Instagram. There hasn't been much posted on it. And then you'll find it on like mine. I think Leah, you'll share it. You guys probably share it. So just you'll see it floating around. Yeah.
And I will be doing a ladies' night soon. I will contact you to see if you'd like to join us.
Do it. I love that.
Yeah, you should. I don't know if you check that out. Or they have a good time. You should hop on there with them and have some fun. It's pretty cool.
Okay. Well, I don't care. I do care, but I'm not.
We skipped a week this week because there's some heavies going on with my co-host.
She's
Hey, you know what? Life happens, and when it does, you just got to roll with it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Since we've had this show, we've only probably had half of the shows where all of us were here at the same time.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That, right? I mean, there was a couple shows you guys weren't here. There was a couple shows I wasn't here. Mike's not here right now.
Yeah.
Oh, there's been plenty of times my attitude
happens. That's why we have a lot of co-hosts.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. If you want to find me, psychicshaman333.com. Check that out. Just Google it. And Norma.
Don't follow any extra
Mystic Norms.
I am Mystic Norms.
Wellness and
Weddings.
She marries people.
Mystic Norms 555. If you want my gaming, just fun. I'm selling everything I'm doing.
Everything,
right?
Yes. Well, not everything.
On a website or anything like that, you guys can
find me, of course, my Mystic Norms more.
On Orion Rising, anywhere you listen to a podcast, MP3 or MP4 podcast, I'm on every platform, especially MP3 platforms. So my show is on there. But here's an announcement that only Jacqueline knows, because I just talked about that today with Jacqueline when her and I were on the phone 2 hours before we went live. And I have decided with a lot of time and consideration, some of you out there know this because you've been talking to me and hounding me about this. When I first started back in 2017, the Law of One, there was a completely different vibration to this man and understanding, understanding. There I go again, saying a word just like right, understanding, not understanding, because we don't stand under anyone. I have decided that I am, in fact, going to go back, start over, and revisit the Law of One from session 1 and go through another 2.5 years of Fridays to get back to 260 sessions of the Law of One, all 6 books. So just know that coming from, that was in 2017, we're in 2022. Coming up here in a couple of weeks, right after the solstice, I will be unveiling that, and I will go right back to the beginning and start all over again from a different perspective and give you another octave that I didn't know then that I know now. And then in the future, Jacqueline and I both laughed and said, 5 years from now, I'll probably do it again.
Probably. because more people need to learn.
We are ever evolving, always growing.
That's right. And y'all have a great time. Don't say right to make it filler words.
And
check out Jacqueline's event. Check out her fire ceremonies.
And she will probably come live with me on Ladies' Night.
Yes.
I'm hoping Friday I'm going to be doing one.
We're going to go eat some food.
If you're available Friday,
because we're hungry. I'm hungry, at least. And thank you all for being here. We love you all. We'll talk to you soon.
I love Peter. He says everything is going to be all right, and that's right.
All right.
All right.